My name is John Chiara, and I'm here in Yosemite where I've spent 40 summers. It's a great privilege teachers have. We have the whole summer off. But also during those 40 years, I had the unusual career of beginning in college teaching philosophy and then teaching all the other grades. In fact, the last year I was in a grade school and the faculty came to me and said, "John, would you like to teach first grade?" And I accepted that, and that was kind of the catalyst that brought me to want to make some remarks about the state of education today. And I'll call these remarks the dead ends of education. The privilege of teaching in all of these grades, except high school, was an honor. And only in high school, because they didn't accept advanced philosophy degrees for high school credentialing. Now, teachers is not my focus, because teachers become teachers because they love our children and they care about our young people. But my focus is on the two disciplines in higher education, the cutting edge of education and the frontiers of knowledge in the areas of the origin of the universe and the origin of life. It is here that I think the most advanced studies are hiding their ignorance. When Socrates was told he was the wisest man in all of Athens, he said, "If I am, my knowledge is like an island. The more I know, the greater the boundary line of my ignorance." Socrates was an honest man. He said he would go around Athens with a lamp to see if he could find an honest man, and said he could not. I'm afraid if Socrates went to the higher institution of education in the area of astrophysics and microbiology, that he also would fail to find an honest man. Why? Because we now know, and astrophysicists generally agree, that the universe had a beginning 14.7 billion years ago, and that it came from a singularity, a singularity that was subatomic in size, but contained all the mass and energy of the universe prior to space and time. But where astrophysicists start making mythologies is prior to the singularity. They now have to admit that prior to the singularity there was absolute nothing, and that from that singularity a fine-tuned universe exploded, and here we are. We find ourselves in the human race coming to self-consciousness. Now, in these disciplines of astrophysicists, there are many various mythologies, I will call them. One of them is the M theory, where it is said that the entire universe as we knew it just exploded out of nothing and burst out from nothing. And then there's astrophysicists that espouse the multi-universe theory, that in fact we are in one universe where we became self-conscious. But realizing that it's so unlikely to occur, they say that there's an infinite number of universes, and we happen to be in the universe in which life could become self-conscious. Then there's the string theory and quantum physics that say that things can go in and out of existence. Now there are even sites that have religions of the universe with awe towards the universe, the physical universe, as if it created itself. But of course we know that's an absurdity. For the universe to have created itself, it would have to have pre-existed itself in order to create itself. And yet there are these educated people in the advanced frontiers of knowledge that worship the universe. Reminds me of the primitive religions where they worship the sun. But in either case, they are both worshiping the creature. To think that this universe of complexity and design and fine-tuning could occur by accident would be similar, I think, to Webster's unabridged dictionary resulting from an explosion in a print shop. The fact of the matter is, there are some things that are simply impossible, and you could blow up a print shop for eternity and you still would never get Webster's unabridged dictionary. The fact of the matter is, we now no longer live in a Newtonian universe, but one in which we know it had a beginning, and astrophysicists say it came from nothing, something beyond space and time, which happens to be the definition of God. The other frontier and cutting edge of knowledge is in the area of microbiology. No fault to Darwin, but he had no concept of the complexity of the pre-microbiological requirements for the very first forms of life. In other words, inorganic matter. His rule of natural selection, his law of natural selection, was and is valid in the biological world, in microbiological world, but it is not valid in the inorganic realm, where it would have to be operable in order for the organization of amino acids and proteins to occur to form the first possible form of life. I would liken the chance of life resulting by chance, given how much time you want, to an explosion in a cemetery and the debris of the corpses in the air coalescing and coming to the ground in a live human being. Is that any different or any more improbable than to assume that this universe, from an exploding thermonuclear mass of heat and energy, that from all of that, given however much time you add to it, to the ingredient, to the recipe, that you would end up with a human race before which and in which we live? And it is these two mythologies that are stealing the hearts and minds of our young people that I've offered these remarks due to my very unique career going from college all the way to first grade. And I would challenge the educational community in these areas to at least be like Socrates, at least be honest and say, look, we've run into the dead ends of knowledge in the area of astrophysics and in the area of microbiology. Thank you very much for your time and enjoying this.